A very good welcome and a very good evening to everybody that is joining us tonight, or rather that's joining us on this particular show. I'm very excited to speak to everybody this day. Now, just as you may have heard from Freddie in the beginning, Rams is not available this evening. He's just a bit under the weather. But he'll definitely be with us this coming week. So I'm sort of driving the show all by myself today. And yeah, I trust it's going to be a really, really cool experience. I think I did mention sometime last week that we're going to have a very practical show. In fact, for the week, or rather for the month of June, it's going to be very exciting, because I'm going to be taking you through a very, very practical and a very, very exciting part of personal development, really. And the series that we're going to be looking at is going to be on the power of your print, And so I trust that those that have missed it for today, are going to definitely be available next week. I don't have any timber jokes, I don't have any timber jokes, but yeah, we can sort of get it going. So for this evening, we are going to be speaking about the power of your print, and I've entitled this particular session for today, "Finding Your Blueprint." Finding your blueprint. I think it's very important for us to understand that every living thing has a print. Everybody has a print. Every living being or living thing has a print. You are born with a print. As you live life, there's a print that you are identifiable with, and when you die, you leave a print behind. And so the context of finding your blueprint really is all about living life on purpose, And so there are four main prints to everybody's life. There is what is called your blueprint, which really speaks to purpose, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then you've got a fingerprint that speaks to your identity and answers the question, who am I? And then you've got a thumbprint that speaks to your brand. How do I sign off, right? And then you've got a footprint that speaks to your leadership matrix. What is my influence matrix? How do I lead? How do I influence? So everybody born on this planet has got these four prints, that help them connect to purposeful living. And so today we are looking at finding your blueprint and living life on purpose, and I trust that we'll all be in a position to participate. In fact, as we start, I'd like to please ask that you grab a pen and a piece of paper, because this is going to be very cool and very, very practical. I want us to create a very practical context for those that are going to be watching this show going a pen, close by, because this is going to be quite cool and very interactive. And please, for those that can put your videos on, go ahead and put your videos on, so that we have a really cool learning experience on this program. Right. Okay. So let me start by defining the print, and then we're going to get into it as we move forward, right? So a print is an impression or an imprint or a mark that is produced by pressing against a surface, right? So Anything that presses against the surface, produces a print if the conditions are right. We are born with a print, we follow a print. When we die, we leave one behind. And remember, your print denotes your purpose, it denotes your life, it denotes your impact. And so when we look at it, colleagues, we have got 7.3 billion people on planet Earth. 7.3 billion people on planet Earth. And the interesting thing is that with 7.3 billion people, the question is, why is it that some make it and some fail to make it? With 7.3 billion people on this planet, how come some people make it and some don't? Why do some people stand out and others fail to stand out? What is it? What is it? And I think it's important for us to understand this concept of print mapping, because it actually allows us to live life purposefully and to answer the question. The main framework, the main question is, why on earth am I here? Why on earth am I here? And so let me just define this concept of a blueprint. What is a blueprint, right? What is a blueprint? If Rams was here, he'd say, well, Dr. T, what is a blueprint? Define it for us. Well, a blueprint, right, is, for example, if you understand the concept of a building, right? A blueprint is a set of proposals or drawings that shows how something is supposed to work. So everything has a blueprint. I've got a phone here. This phone has a blueprint. And that blueprint, that prototype, actually will show you how this thing is supposed to work. And not only does everything have a blueprint, the blueprint reveals certain things about the product. Right? So as long as it has a name, believe me, it has a blueprint. It's a table, there's a blueprint somewhere. It's a building, there's a blueprint somewhere. Even your life has a print. Your life has a blueprint. You have a specific purpose as to why you showed up here. And then the question, therefore, would be why a blueprint? Why would we have a blueprint? Well, a blueprint reflects three things primarily. The first thing that a blueprint reflects is the mind of the creator. The mind of the creator, When you look at the blueprint, you can see exactly what the creator was thinking. Whether it's a TV, whether it's a building, like the Marlborough Castle, which is really the biggest brick castle in the world, amazing. When you look at that castle, you can already see the mind of the creator. That the creator was like, what? Let me make a castle that's going to just stand out. Built according to plan. You can see from the blueprint. You can see exactly what the creator was thinking. That's number one. Secondly, a blueprint reveals the architecture of the product. Because from a blueprint, you can actually see, oh my God, this has been made in this particular way. You know what? There's a head, there's hands, there's this, there's that. There are adjacent rooms, there's this and that. You can actually see the scoping and the practical visualization in terms of what the product is. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is that a blueprint reveals the purpose of a product. So from a blueprint, you can tell, it's a 3-bedroomed house. So there's a bedroom, there's a kitchen, there's a living room. Just by looking at the blueprint, you can already come to those very practical conclusions. Where you're like, so this one was actually, here is an auditorium. This is an auditorium. This is a stadium. This is a bus terminal. This is, whenever you look at the blueprint, you can see the purpose. And so I trust that as we go through this, you will get to understand and even find your own blueprint, because it answers the question, why on earth am I here? You know that I've met people who have lived life and some get to 75, 80, 90, and they felt like they never lived their life, or they never connected to the primary purpose for which they showed up. A lot of people show up and they die and they are so unfulfilled, and they feel like, you know what, I really did not connect to my whole purpose. That's why it's very dangerous to live your father's dream and not your own, and to live your auntie's dream and not your own. You know that thing that happens, especially in our weddings, in our culture, where the aunties want to come and then they want to live out their vision through your wedding type thing, you know. And it's very important that you understand your path and you connect to your greater purpose, so that you can really live a very, very connected life. Now, as I promised you that today is going to be very practical and very, very interesting, right? I'm going to take us through a set of questions that will help us start to develop an idea about who we are and why we are, you know, and perhaps what we showed up to do. I always explain this by the concept, when you understand even just the conception process. You know, some say that, you know, the male carries millions of seed, and out of those millions of seed, you know, guess what? Only one fertilizes the egg, and that one shows up as either Dr. T or Tebucho or Sitswali or Freddie. And the question is, why you? Why did you win that race against millions of others that wanted to show up? But you won the race. Why you? Why couldn't it have been, you know, another seed? Why couldn't it have been somebody else? Why you? Why particularly did you get to win that race? It shows that we are all born with this thing called purpose. It's a very, very powerful thing. Why? Because it connects us to fruitful living. It connects us to fulfilling living, to a fulfilling life, if we are able to connect it. The saddest thing is to go through life and you are off message. Because every voice must have and must find its space within the context of its culture. And so that's the point about the blueprint. Right. And so I remember there's a guy called Simon Sinek. For those of you that know Simon Sinek, you know, he wrote a book, and that book is entitled Start With Your Why. It's important to actually know the why. I know that we love to actually begin with the what without understanding the why. And a lot of people do things, right, that they're like, okay, why did you do that? Well, I don't know. I just thought it's just the way that things are done. So it's important to understand the what. So to understand the why before we understand the what. Why on earth am I here? Why did I show up here? Right. And so let me take us to our first exercise. I'm going to give you like just a minute or two. I want you to think about this. And please don't run away and say, it's a little bit gory. But very interestingly, I want you to, Freddie, this one is going to be a very cool ask, by the way.
We lost you there for a minute, Dr. T.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We lost you there for a minute. Please repeat that one.
Okay, lovely. So I was saying, if you were to write your own obituary, just a couple of sentences, what would it say? If you were standing at your own funeral and you had to write your own obituary, what would it say? Can you write a paragraph on that? Remember, life is very interesting. You have the date you were born, that is the entrance date, right? And then you have the date that you are going to exit, and then there is that dash. That dash is really the most important thing because this is what you are doing with your life. That dash is the context. It must connect you to purpose. If you were to write your own obituary, what you did say, let me give you just 1 minute to write your own obituary. Then we're going to go around the room and just hear people's obituaries, you know. Sitwani says no, not one sentence. Okay, fine, write a paragraph, Sitwani. So the most important thing, by the way, is that you don't write your aspired life. No, write the life that you are reading. If people were to read and say, okay, here, here lies Lebo, and Lebo was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What would they say? What would they say? Yeah, just give it a moment. Think about it for a moment, and just put it down. I remember, listening to this joke, Freddie, where one guy, on his obituary, it was written, "Here lies a lawyer and an honest man." This guy was a lawyer, and he died. So someone looked at it, he's like, how could they bury two people in one grave? No. It's the same person. You can be a lawyer and be a very honest person. All right. Does somebody have it? Let me just go around the room. Let's start with you, Tebuko. Let's hear what your obituary would say. As you write, you see, the interesting thing, by the way, a very good welcome and a very good evening to everybody that is joining us tonight, or rather that's joining us on this particular show. I'm very excited to speak to everybody this day. Now, just as you may have heard from Freddie in the beginning, Rams is not available this evening.
Happen, I think I'll die a happy person that I had. If you say
you can be a lawyer and be a very honest person. All right. Does somebody have it? Let me just go around the room. Let's start with you, Tebuko. Let's hear what your obituary would say. As you write, you see, the interesting thing, by the way, is that a lot of times, well, not even a lot of time, all of the time, nobody writes their own obituary. Other people write it about the one that has kind of departed, right? But if you were to write your own, what would it say? How connected were you to your purpose? Did you know your purpose? Did you understand your purpose? All right, let's go, Temho. Let's hear what you put down.
You really put me on a spot today. This is a difficult one, I must say. I'm not quite sure where to start, but I think an obituary will have your date of birth and your background in terms of your education. But I wanted to zone in terms of the journey of a few sentences about the life that I lived.
Yes.
I think I lived a loving life with a loving family. And I think I loved all the experiences that I had in terms of all the exposures I had in life. And also what I wanted to also talk about was the connection, but I think I lived a life where I was aspiring to really connect to that bigger purpose. And I think I have found it. And that purpose would be to be an aspiring teacher while I learn. I think that is what I really, really, really enjoy doing. And I think should anything happen, I think I'll die a happy person that I had found that particular purpose.
Wow, lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh my God, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool. So this is somebody that connected to purpose. This is somebody, yeah, no, lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's hear another one. Who else is on? I see Weliswa just disappeared on us. Okay, it's not a difficult ask. All right, let's go to Lebu.
Okay, then mine goes like this. Here lies Lebogang, born on the 20th of December, a man who made a lot of mistakes in his lifetime, but eventually encountered God, accepted his love, and eventually learned to love himself and pursue his purpose and lived his life to the fullest.
Okay.
Just a paragraph.
Okay. I like that. If you were to sort of expand on that concept of purpose, what would you say? What would you say was Lebu's purpose? You know.
I would say to help others overcome the struggles that I encountered, and to help others as well to not fall into the same traps that I fell into.
Okay, all right, lovely. So for Tebogo, the purpose was, to learn while teaching, or to teach while learning. I've forgotten which way it was, right? So and then for Lebu, it was to coach, to instruct, to guide others and make others wiser. You see that even in our own self-concept, there is this understanding of the fact that I'm not just here to eat pap and rice and show off on Instagram, and go on vacation. There is something a little bit greater. There is something that brings meaning and that brings, a concept to our lives in terms of why we are here. Wow, this is very, very, very exciting. Very exciting. Sitswali, and then I'll go to Dr. Lungi. Let's hear what your thinking is. Yeah, hello.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mute myself. I'm saying I have no idea what my obituary would say. I have absolutely no idea. Let's go to Dr. Lungi, but yeah, I'm still too young. I can't even say I lived a happy life, or I feel I lived my best, not yet. So,
okay, but a question before we go to Dr. Lungi. When you do you ever figure out, and by the way, if you haven't figured it out, it's okay, because the rest of the exercise that we're going to do this week and next week actually speaks to that. It's going to help you find your blueprint. I'm just trying to find out if somebody has an idea in terms of, okay, why on earth am I here? You see, because purpose really speaks then to the operationalization of whatever is there, Because once you know and you understand your purpose, the next thing is alignment. So that purpose print, that blueprint must have alignment to all of the other prints in pursuit of the big picture. So it's going to be such an amazing learning experience. Do you feel, Sitswali, that you have a concept of saying, okay, my name is Sitswali and this is why I'm here? And by the way, you're not here for your job. Remember, nobody on their deathbed wishes they'd spend more time at the office, right? No one says, just another 3 more hours at ABSA. Oh, I would have done great. No,
I'm still figuring it out, Dr. T. Still figuring it out.
Okay, I like that. Okay, that's good enough. Dr. Lungi?
Greetings, everyone. My apologies, I won't be able to show my face. I hope you can hear me. So I think my obituary would read something along these lines. I think after they've said my background and my my professional career and stuff like that, I think then it will go to Dr. Lungi lived an inspiring life. She lived her life in pursuit for developing people. She devoted herself to helping others discover who they are. And she served her generation. She spoke for those who were voiceless. She represented those who were in vulnerable situations. She lived a progressive life that revealed her true self. She was a warm-hearted a woman who cared so much for those around her. I think something along those lines. I don't know if I don't know what you think about that one.
Okay. I don't know, Fred, what do you think about that one?
I actually find
A very good welcome and a very good evening to everybody that is joining us tonight, or rather that's joining us on this particular show.
Rated for it. Theater, pivot and follow his dreams. Who was a software developer, an entertainer, a media practitioner, and oddly a humanitarian. And then I started thinking of all the activities in which I've been involved in, all the institutions in which I've volunteered my time, institutions in which I've labored as part of labor for money, institutions in which I've labored out of passion, where I'm thinking, okay, well, I have, done theater just for the fun of it, but at the same time, I have done acting on TV for money.
Right.
And so I would not define it as, for me, it was never a definition of acting as my career, because I don't sit down and think of a career path for it, but as an activity in which I would engage in for passion. You would find encounters of being able to be remunerated for it. So, when one would then define themselves, do they focus on how they've achieved certain goals, and
Right.
then start to center how they define their blueprint and start to center how they define themselves? Or do they focus on a more existential answer of saying, how have I impacted the world around me, and then focus their definition on that? I think I could also just ask that back to you, Dr. T, or anyone who wishes to answer such a question.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Again, I think part of what makes this quite cool is just getting to understand, or rather getting to hear how people actually view themselves and how people view their existence. Remember, we are all here, right? And we are going through, there are two planes, or rather there are two channels through which life is lived. And thank you very much, by the way, everybody, for sharing, your own obituary. It kind of makes you think, okay, am I really in alignment? Am I in alignment? What did I show up to do? What is my value add over and above the skill that I have? As maybe an accountant or an engineer or an actor. What is the value add that I bring? Over and above the skill. And so very, very important. So there are two channels of life that we live life on. The first one is the biological channel, which I call the chronos of life, right? So the biological channel is where you are born as a baby. You grow up, you become a toddler, then you become a kid, then you become a teenager, then you become a youth, then young adult, then and then you become a grandparent, and then you become an ancestor. Now, that's the biology of life. All of us are cells going through time. You see, that will happen whether or not you like it. unless maybe life is cut short for whatever reason, you know, that people depart, you know, that, but that's really the biology of life. You know, that's the process of life. That's the word we use. But apart from the process, there is another channel where life can be lived in, which is called the purpose of life. So while you are running on the process plane, it is your choice to actually connect to the purpose plane. Process brings about physical maturity. It brings about opportunities for reproduction. It brings about, biological development. But purpose takes intentionality and connection. Purpose brings about fulfillment. Purpose brings about that sense of connectedness. You know, where even as a neuroscientist, I will tell you that there is a mystery to humans that is so amazing that you don't find anywhere else in other animals. Take, for example, the context of imagination. Only humans have imagination. Animals don't have imagination. Otherwise, they would have conquered their environment. So we are able to conquer and have dominion and have influence over our environment because of the faculty of imagination. We can capture the future. We can capture images in our minds without any stimulation whatsoever. We can daydream about, you know, I can dream about Paris even if I've never been to Paris. I can dream of an elephant that flies. Why? Because we've got this capacity to actually capture images, right, from the abstract and bring them into a world where, guess what, one day someone develops a phone. Because when they developed the first modem, we all had them. Remember those ones where we used to dial, you know, and then it was tied to a cable to your house. And then one guy said, you know what, man, I want to walk around my garden while I talk. Now, pulling along a cable was very inconvenient. Well, how about we develop something where I don't have to be dragging this along? I can actually carry a totally separate unit and walk around with it and speak. And when you see, that is where actually the concept of the imagination comes from. And I believe that is how we are able to then connect to our greater purpose, to actually one of the main reasons. Why are we here? Why are we here? So there is the process of life, which speaks to your biology, and then there is the purpose of life, which speaks to connectedness to your blueprint. Your blueprint is one of the most important things ever. And so it's always very interesting when you hear people now write out their obituary, because, you know, that is a very solemn document, or that is a very solemn a moment where you really think, how connected am I to my greater purpose? Why am I here? Why did I show up? What value do I bring? Have I actually brought to the world around me, or do I bring to the world around me? Very, very important. And remember, again, we don't necessarily define ourselves by what we do. We define ourselves by who we are, you know. So very, 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 very critical. And so I want us to think along those lines. And also remember, again, in terms of our self-concept, everybody has got two sides to them. There is the side that we all see, your best foot forward. You know, when I decide, okay, I'm going to go to the mall, what's the first thing I do? I make sure I'm showered. I make sure, you know, I am well kept. I make sure that, you know, I look good, I dress well, and I'm ready. But if you find me chilling at home, guess what? I probably don't take as much care as when I'm stepping outside. So it is with my wife, you know, when we're home, she chills. But when we've got to step out, guess what? She makes sure that she looks different. Or rather, she looks better, you know. She's actually on this call. Hey, Dr. Lung, just say hi to the people. That's my wife, by the way, guys. She shall be revealed. The day we hit 100 people here, you know, she shall be revealed.
Yeah.
So So my point here is we all put our best foot forward. Why? Because we know we're going to meet the rest of the world. So there's two people that you are working on. The first one is the one we see, but the other person is the one that you are working on that we don't see. Now, that is the person that really must be connected to purpose. That's the person that speaks to the blueprint to say, who or am I and why on earth am I here? That's very, very, very interesting. Let me take it a bit. Let me take it a bit further.
Okay. I wanted to ask you if you could take a hand from me, Dr. T.
Okay, sure.
On the just before you ask the next question, I'd just like to take a round of questions. I would like to start with a question and then ask and then take Tebogo's question and kindly ask you to answer those two questions. My question is, most people would define their purpose or would think that the definition of their purpose mainly comes from what they do from 9 to 5. And when you speak of impact, you then get to realize that the 9 to 5 job that you do also has its impact in your life, but there's also the other hours in which you spend doing other activities which could also speak to your purpose. So how would you sort of advise someone to try and define their purpose by not looking only at how they labor for coin? If I may put it like that. Yes.
Right. That's a very cool question, by the way. And I think to sort of get into it is to bring the primary definition first of all. That remember, purpose does not necessarily correlate with what you do. What we do comes out of a skill. And remember, we must have a value proposition as we live. So some value propositions are learned through skills development, and that is why you find someone who just because the career makes money, say for example, they go into medicine and become a doctor, because you will never starve as a doctor. There will always be someone with a headache. There will always be an expecting mother that needs a doctor. There will always, so it's a very secure type profession. But you find that someone is a doctor who was never born to be a doctor. They don't like being a doctor. Have you ever seen those people in your job or rather in a work environment whose bed has 2 wrong sides? Doesn't matter what you say, you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. They hate what they do. They absolutely loathe what they do, even if they are good at it. So therefore, being able to do a job is not necessarily a measure of purpose. It's a measure of skill. But when it comes to purpose, we are talking about, those things that speak to your passion, those things that speak to your fulfillment, that even if you're not paid, you would you'd still do it. Those things that answer a certain deep question within you, and you feel like you are adding value. It may not even be in an area where you are particularly skilled in, where you've got a specific skill. I mean, I trained, in my earlier years as a television producer. So I can direct videos, I can produce a film, I can direct a film, I've done adverts, I've done hundreds of documentaries, but that was never my purpose. That was just a skill that I learned that could aid, my ability to put bread on the table. So you see, your skill set does not necessarily imply your blueprint. It doesn't imply that. We need to then go deeper, which is part of the process that we are doing. Maybe is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, may we take Tebogo's hand?
Lovely.
Hi. During this question, the first question that you've asked, I've actually realized something, and I just want probably a conversation, just a short one from your perspective around that. There were three elements, I think, that I picked up in terms of all the responses from myself, Lebo, and Dr. Lungi, which was more about helping other people. It might have come from different angles, but it did seem like the core was about, even from Frederick, I think he said something about humanitarian. So I'm tempted to think that as human beings, we are all somehow connected, and our sole purpose might be around doing good to other people. And I think when you look at your Maslow's hierarchy of law, it really talks about self-actualization. And it does seem like when a person gets to that level of contentness, all they want to do is add value to other human beings. Would I be right to assume that that is the connectedness that we all have as human beings?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and you will see it. We'll probably get into it next week. Now, when I show you the whole matrix, and maybe each one of us can then answer some specific questions that actually relate to you getting to find yourself. But I like what you're saying, Tebho. Think of it as a tree. Have you ever realized that no tree enjoys its own fruit? There is not one tree that actually eats its own fruit. A mango tree has never tasted its own fruit. Neither has an orange tree or a banana. People, strangers, go to the fruit tree, and they pluck an orange, and they enjoy it, and they bless the tree, and they go on their way. Some are even ungrateful, but they still benefit.
True.
I visited some friends, and they've got an amazing lemon tree. Man, one of the best lemon trees I've seen. And they were like, have some lemons. I grabbed with both my hands, put some in a plastic bag, and I'm enjoying them. And I was thinking, isn't it amazing that the glory of the tree is the extent to which it can be a blessing to others?
Never
So really, the purpose of the tree is not to shine or to look good or to peacock it, like what peacocks do, where they spread their feathers, and for them the glory is the show off. No, the glory of the tree is to the extent to which it can be productive so that others can enjoy the fruit that it has. And so our gifts, our talents, our passion, those become very much the indicators about what it is that we carry for others, about what it is that actually speaks to this concept of the blueprint. So that when you ask, who is Dr. Tando, I've got to look beyond some of the skills that I have and look into the greater concept of the gifts that I carry. Because it's not the same thing. I've got a skill in television, I've got a skill in this and that, but I believe that my blueprint is actually to help other people. I help people birth their dreams. I help people find their next level. I help people think differently. I help develop people. I showed up. That's what my name is all about. Tando Luenkosi, the love of God for the people. And so I've probably been fortunate enough that the context of my purpose is then also what brings bread to my table. Because then as a consultant, I've managed to add a value proposition to my blueprint that then allows me, to live life without actually working another day. because then I enjoy what I do. I'm connected. I love to see people grow, and I love to take time with people and just help launch them into their next level. So you are absolutely correct. That which we carry within us, which is for others. Now we're talking purpose there. And it can be anything. Some people I've got gifted minds as engineers. But who are engineers? Engineers are people who come up with solutions to life's problems. Those solutions may be technical, but believe me, the heart and the essence of an engineer is to make life more comfortable for others. That's why they will design a bridge. A bridge is simply a solution to make traveling easier. So the heart of an engineer is not technical. No, it is humanitarian, even though the skill is technical. But people never really look at themselves that way. And that's why this purpose, this blueprint conversation is very, very important, because then we start to ask ourselves, in my bigger matrix, why am I here? How do I see the context of my existence?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Any other question?
So, Dr. T, I wanted to ask a question actually on, what you were responding to as your response to Deboho's question. When you just also mentioned now that your purpose may not be what you labor in, by also highlighting the fact that your purpose may not be what you do, but you need to then set clear goals and intentions in what you do to be able to find the purpose in it, by mentioning that you set a value proposition, and that will then give you a measure of succession within that purpose. So the value proposition, a lot of people may only look at it in monetary terms, to say, okay, I am also a passionate sports person, but if I'm not making money out of the sports, that does not mean you lose a passion for sports. You still want to go every Sunday and play football with the gents. I mean, I think of it this way. I related to an obituary of a friend where he could have just been called the the driver for the school kids, and it would have ended there. But everyone else spoke to the activities in which they were involved in with him and defined him as that. But through also those activities, they were then able to define the character of the person within what they were doing. So your purpose would then come out to be linked with your role in whatever institution you may find yourself in. So into getting into defining your role in whatever institution you find yourself in, how do you, in defining your blueprint, Dr. T, then say, this is my this is the attributes of my character which allow me to take on such a position in this institution, be it of work, be it an institution of religion, or an institution of just hobbies and other activities. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. All right, let me reframe it a little bit differently. Perhaps that might help us get to a resolution of your question. Right now, there is purpose in terms of specific intention through an activity. They say, for example, when you work for a company, there's a certain purpose for which we do certain things, right? That is purpose to an activity, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you understanding your blueprint, because the purpose I'm talking about really speaks to who answers the question, who am I? Because then once you understand who you are, like once I understand I'm a people developer, in whatever context that I find myself in terms of whatever activities or whatever company or business I work in, I understand my purpose. Maybe the function that's there for me to do has got nothing to do with the humanitarian aspect or with actually taking care of people. Maybe I'm an accountant. But because I know this is who I am, right? My personality, my purpose sort of will bring that through because I understand who am I. So the question of blueprint alignment really is a question where you come into yourself and you say, forget the skills that I have, because those ones will change insofar as the situation demands it, you know. And that's why one of the key questions that we'll have to deal with is, what did you want to be when you were a child? Do you know that most of us are not doing what we wanted to be when we were kids? Why? Because life has thrown totally different curveballs. But our purpose in terms of understanding who we were born to be still remains. So one of the biggest or one of the most critical questions that each and every one of us has got to answer is to actually go in there and answer this question: who am I? Why on earth am I here? And it's not a question about what job was I born to do. No, it's about what function am I supposed to play. And you will see, because people are very different. You will see some people are born to just help others find solutions. Some are born to instruct others. Some are born to inspire others. Some are born, you know, we all have these different things that we connect to. And then when we run our life along that path, it creates this deep thing called fulfillment. I believe that when you connect with your purpose, even if you're not making the money out of it, you feel fulfilled. I was watching a movie about, you know, on these guys who are part of, you know, these Doctors Without Borders. And my question is, what motivates somebody to go and practice medicine in a war zone where people are dying daily? You know, in some areas there are rebels, and there's this and there's that and that and that and that. You see, the purpose, the real thing that drives that person is the desire to help others. But the skill that they are employing is their knowledge of medicine. What inspires, you know, these journalists where you see, men, you know, there's gunfire being exchanged, and the guy is there, he's not carrying a gun, no, he's carrying a camera. He's running around dodging bullets, carrying a camera. It's gotta be more than just a job. There is something deeper that is driving this person. To say, I was born to be a scribe. You know what? I capture these moments and I bring information to people. And I know, because people like saying, no, it's my job, it's my job. So we actually numb the discussion on purpose by making it seem like a very easy question of saying, no, it's my job, job. No, but it's actually more than a job. For a lot of people, it comes from a much deeper conviction, you know, about the role that they are meant to play in the universe, or the role that they are meant to play in their everyday life. I know, I realize that we are out of time, and yeah.
I was about to say in stepping into my purpose of still producing this show. I would like us to
absolutely
to just frame up where we've gotten to thus far, and some of the things that we are still to tap into when it comes to defining your blueprint and being able to clearly identify how you do things and how you align to your purpose.
Right. Right, right. Yeah, yeah. So where we've sort of arrived on, I think there's a bit of perhaps some clarity in terms of the bigger question of the blueprint. We've asserted that it's not necessarily tied to your current skill set, you know, but I will show you how everything sort of aligns together, you know, in terms of the pursuit of your function, you know, and just who you are. But we now know it doesn't necessarily speak to skill set, but it speaks to something deeper, and it manifests through deeper through that inner fulfillment when you actually start walking that path. We're going to pick it up from here next week, you know, and we're going to go deeper into this tool. I've got a blueprint a tool that I use to help people really start to ask themselves the key questions and get to really understand who they are. So we're going to pick it up from here next week, Freddie. It's going to be amazing. Let's just get some more people coming in so that we can have a very robust conversation. You know, we'll definitely punt it the whole week, and yeah, it's gonna be great. And I look forward to seeing us back again next week, and hopefully Rams will be with us on the show. Yeah, we're gonna have a great time. Thank you so much to everybody for participating, and definitely thanks to you, Freddie, for being the main voice behind the scenes, and also today in front of the scenes. You are an all-rounder, bro.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you to everyone also, and let's have another exciting session next week. From me, it's cut.
A good welcome and a